Well, dear students, it is the second video about the fifth, and we are discussing about the common communication barriers in the workplace. In the first very short video, I just recapped the previous discussion in the week fourth and also introduced the week fifth main objectives and introduce you about the common barrier communications. The very first communication barrier that confronts us is the physical barriers. Physical barriers are called the barriers which happen physically around us or have some errors in our body in hearing, watching, listening, comprehending, motor learning activities or so. Let's see it. Physical barriers may prevent an individual from being able to interpret non-verbal cues. This is more common in communication method relying on technology rather than face-to-face. Other physical barriers include, the physical barriers distance, things some person is mentally distorted, something hinders you away, clear, technology, being at a distance, they are called the physical barriers. Other barriers are like, for example, old and broken equipment used for the communication. Obviously, if some person is talking on the telephone or using some sort of microphone, clear, and the microphone is distorted, it is damaged, or the dust has infused in it, definitely the voice won't be clear and the message would definitely be distorted. And it frequently happens mostly with your cell phones. You have experienced that if you have, for example, dropped your cell phone and it has broken its speaker, then the communication barriers results in form of low voice, some type of noise, and mostly the reduced voice. Uncomfortable temperatures. Uncomfortable temperatures are also the physical barriers because people when get to heat or extreme cold, they try to accommodate to the cold, and obviously they are not able to speak well or to entertain the other persons properly. So it is really a very important barrier. Background noise. Background noise is another issue, especially the people who need attention, composers, designers, reciters, teachers, they are the common prey to the barriers of this background noise. For example, you have seen that the teacher yelling or screaming at the students, stop, why are you speaking, this and that, and you have experienced in your university because that is a very congested place normally when it is the class is off, people start conversation and there is huge buzzing of sounds. No person can exactly hear that what the other people are saying, and same thing happens in an open market. Poor lightning is really because you are not able to see at a distance, we are not able to read the text fine, and poor lighting is indeed a problem. Communicating close to the time of your break. It is something that I have mentioned. Break, lunch, and end of the work hours. This is psychologically because normally when this is a break time, when it's a lunch time, or when it is going to be off, people have other commitments. They are not ready to involve you back into the official discussions and they want to get go. Thereby, they are not readily to hear you. Large work areas or working an area that is physically separated from the colleagues. Of course, for example, you have been put into the area where your colleagues are at a distance, you don't have other facility to contact them, it is also a physical barrier, and in the very case, people face lots of psychological and other problems. Closed doors. Closed doors because closed doors are communication barriers where the offices where they have very few attendants. If they close a door, nobody can poke into, no person can get into, and they don't have the chance to call in some persons. Large geographical distances between sender and the receiver. Large geographical distances has been a very sound barrier in the past. People would residing at different places were not able to share their letters, emotions, the goods and transportations, or the equipment dispatched from one part of the world would take months to reach to the other part. But with the develop of the modern communication methods, these barriers have been breached much. But it happens really when unfortunately there is a lockdown, there is some uh, kind of urgency happens in a country, and people have really faced large geographical distance once again in this area of COVID-19, where the flights were halted, routes were halted, and everything was put into a this area. This is called that you have tested that how large geographical distances play a vital role in communication barrier. Fine, and communication is shorter, easier at shorter distances. Therefore, normally the networks and the are made nodes are placed at nearest places. You have seen that the telephone towers, if there is less distance between them, their service is better. If there are larger distances, obviously their service is not that good. Open office spaces are becoming popular, so they provide employees with their own workplace, so all removing physical barriers between the colleagues and can't interfere with communication. Open offices places where the people are sitting in open and they're not connected by any medium, that is also a physical barrier. And the next is psychological barriers. Psychological barriers are relevant to our minds and perception. That it is based on our semantics, beliefs, and ideas. That is called the psychological barriers, and they are anxiety and tension and hypertension and incredulous disbelief. These are some of the problems that are they may be called in the category of the psychological barriers. Let's read. The psychological state of speaker in listening can affect communication. For example, that the psychological state is very important. Someone who suffers from social anxiety and low self-esteem may be too distracted about how they are perceived when talking with the superior. Of course, the people who are in the social anxiety, which who are always not encouraged or discouraged, they are never confident before the office. However, they sometimes are correct in their approach. They have completed their work, yet their boss and his undue influence and pressure distracts them. It is a psychological barrier. They may be worried about whether their manager will notice that they are nervous. They may be find it difficult to share their real thoughts. Fine. After this, the person may realize they can't remember what manager said because they were too distracted with their thoughts. Yes, this erring in the thoughts. Sometimes people are a very different hypochondriac situation. They are not able to concentrate on the words and the guidelines of their boss. The reason is because they never feel confident. The inner confidence is really a greatest sport, and it is also greatest damage. So the people should try to console the people and let them close to them and boost their confidence so that they may communicate properly. The last point is here: anger can lead to saying things you regret and misinterpreting what others say. Obviously, when you are angry and you have means your mind is burning with some sort of biasness, that is really dangerous. You will try, you are not ready to listen even to the genuine excuses of the person. Here, these were some of the psychological barriers, and you have understood it. These barriers really confront not at the official place, but also the students in our surroundings. So do not be psychologically pessimist. Number one, if you are psychologically pessimist, you are losing everything. Confidence is the proper thing. Thank you very much. Hope you have understood.